shake it, baby. Yeah. You can shake it one time for me. You have to come over, baby. Oh, Lord, shake it going on. Now let's get real low one time now. Shake it, baby, shake it. All you gotta do, honey, is kind of stand in one spot. Wiggle around just a little bit. That's what you got. Yeah. Baby, oh, Lord, shake it going on. Now let's go one time. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Ooh, shake it, baby. Come on, baby, shake it, baby, shake it. Come on over. Oh, lot of shaking going on.
And there's a whole lot of shaking going on in the station here this morning at Whistle FM. You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. We're talking with Dave Booth. Dave, tell us about that last song. There's a whole lot of shaking going on.
Well, you know, I bought that 78 after hearing it, played both sides of it over and over again, never thinking that many years later I would actually meet Jerry Lee Lewis and interview him. They used to call him the Faraday Fireball, because it was from Faraday, Louisiana. But it's a magic record. I never tire of it. He never, ever recorded it again the same way. He tried to, but the magic is right there in that studio in Memphis, Tennessee. Anyway, I'm in England, and there's TV programs now, 6-5 Special and Oh Boy, featuring homegrown rock and roll.
Wow. And
I went to a concert and saw three English guys, Marty Wilde and the Wildcats, Wee Willie Harris, who kind of sang a little bit like Little Richard, and then this next guy who blew me away, Cliff Richard. This time his group was called the Drifters. It became the Shadows later, but this is his all-time best record. It's simply called Move It.
Shake, well, honey, please don't lose it. The rhythm that gets into your heart and soul. Let me tell you, baby, it's called rock and roll. They say it's gonna die, but honey, please let's face it. Well, we just don't know what's going to replace it. Yeah, valleys and calypsos, I've got nothing on. Real country music that just drives along. I had a movie. Shake, but baby, please don't lose it. There's rhythm that gets into your heart and soul. Well, let me tell you, baby, it's called rock and roll. They say it's gonna die, but honey, please let's face it. They just don't know what's going to replace it. Calypsos have got nothing on. Real country music that just drives along. Honey, move it. Hey, move it. Honey, move it.
Okay, Dave. You're still in England, but we need to move you over to Canada.
Yeah. Well, that was from 1958, and that was around the time that I began to think about moving out of the home. some neighbors of mine across the street emigrated to Canada. They moved to Waterloo, Ontario. And I stayed in touch with them, as you do. At that time, it was email letters.
Yep.
And the father, the husband, he got a printing job here in Canada. And they said, if you want to come, you can come and stay with us, sleep on the couch, watch TV from Buffalo.
Wow.
Watch the wrestling.
Remember how we used to get the Buffalo news with Irv Weinstein from Cheektowaga?
Yeah, and sometimes you had to use a metal coat hanger on the aerial to extend it, to get it.
Yeah, and sometimes a member of the family used to have to stand beside the TV holding onto it to ground it, and they would always be looking over their shoulder trying to see the TV.
Bunny ears. What a bunny ears. Anyway, I'm there in Yorkshire, and I decide to get assisted package to Canada, where the government helped you pay the ticket. And I came on a boat, Cunard Lines, left from Liverpool. My dad came with me to Liverpool, landed in Quebec, took a train down to...
How long did it take you to get across the ocean?
7 days.
Wow.
4 days throwing up. And 3 days recovering. It was so rough. It was in the spring that they put edges on the tables, like so the stuff wouldn't slide off.
Oh boy!
And when you danced in the dance hall, you actually danced kind of like with the rocking motion of the boat. The only place that didn't rock was the movie theater in the middle of the boat, central, and it moved the least. We would go and sit there in the afternoon. Somebody finally told me, brandy is good. And so we drank a lot of brandy. Anyway, I came, and I got a job at Eaton's in Kitchener. And I worked in the appliance department. And on the weekend, I got the bus into Toronto and saw Ronnie Hawkins at the Cock Door. Now, I knew who Ronnie was, because where I worked in a coffee bar in Harrogate in the evenings, they had his record on the jukebox, and I'd play it all the time. But there he was, Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, and this was one of the songs I saw him sing. It's called 40 Days.
I'm gonna give you 40 days to get back home. I done called up a gypsy woman on the telephone. I'm gonna send out a worldwide hoodoo that'll be the very thing that'll suit you. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna send out a worldwide hoodoo that'll be the very thing that'll suit you. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. The judge in a private early this morning. And they took me to the sheriff's office to sign a warning. They're gonna go across charge again. That'll be the very thing that'll send you. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days. I'm gonna send out a worldwide hoodoo that'll be the very thing that'll suit you. I'm gonna say that she'll be back home in 40 days. 40 days.
You're listening to Fresh Waves here on Whistle FM. I'm your host, Bren Masson, and we've got Dave Booth in the studio with us this morning. Well, in the story of Dave, you've gone from England, you've crossed the ocean now, you're in Canada. How did you end up in Toronto?
Well, I was not really happy in Kitchener-Waterloo, and so I moved to Toronto. I actually moved in with some people in Etobicoke and eventually got a job working at the Cloverdale Mall as a trainee manager for Kresge's.
I remember Kresge's.
But there was a store in the mall that had a rack with albums in it, and I got chatting with some local guys, and they said there's a dance in Mimico where you can go, and this guy plays records, and you get girls, and we drive around. Well, I said, I don't have a car. And they said, come with us on Saturday. So I went, and the DJ was phenomenal, and he played this next record, and I ran down to the front. I said, what is that? Who is that? And he said, it's Jimmy Reed, Big Boss Man.
Can't you hear me when I call? Big boss man, can't you hear me when I call? Well, you ain't so big, you just talk, that's all. Boss man, waking around the fire. I want a little rain or water, but you won't let Jimmy start, big boss man. Can't you hear me when I call? Well, you ain't so big, you just talk, that's all. Get me on boss man, one wanna treat me right, work hard in the daytime, rest easy at night, big boss man. Can't you hear me when I call? Well, you ain't so big, you just all that's all.
Here we are back on Fresh Waves. Dave, what a story. Okay,
well,
you're in Toronto.
Where it's the blues now. I'm gone. A light went on. I love this music. And the guy's playing a harmonica in a different way than I'd ever heard before. He had it in a rack. He's playing guitar and harmonica at the same time. So I started to look for blues records. I got dissatisfied at Kresge's. Trainee manager wasn't the job for me.
I'm not surprised.
I decided I always wanted to go in the Air Force, to be a pilot maybe. So I signed up to go into the Air Force here in Canada, and I went in actually as military police. and I was stationed in northern Quebec, up in Saint-Terre, which
Wow.
is way up north. You're talking 6 months winter, where you plug in your car when you go to the store, right out front. I'd never seen anything like this. I got to eat bear, I got to eat moose, everything. It was great. I enjoyed it. And on the base was a radio station. And disused. Nobody was using it. So I chatted with a couple of other people, and we decided to open the station. And that's where I got my feet wet. And I did an R&B show, Rhythm and Blues, and enjoyed it. Not realizing, of course, although I had slightly realized that I did have this Yorkshire accent, which may be a problem. This is before the British invasion. So we were playing all kinds of tunes, and I got this dream about, well, I could be a DJ, professional DJ. So I requested to get out, and they let me out after 3 years in the Air Force, and I did the tour of Southern Ontario with no success. I think a lot of it was because of my accent.
Right.
At that time I didn't. So I went back to Kitchener and went back to the family I came and stayed with originally. And in the town they had a station called CKCR. And I eventually wore them down, where they gave me an hour late at night. And in exchange, I had to wash and wax the floors once a week and go in every night and clean up the garbage. And as a result of that, I got an hour. This is 1964, and this is one of the songs that I played on my show in Kitchener. Here's Chuck Berry and one of his greatest songs, No Particular Place to Go.
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild. Cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go. Riding along in my automobile, I was anxious to tell her the way I feel. So I told her softly and sincere, and she leaned and whispered in my ear, cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go. Particular place to go. So we parked way out on the Kokomo. The night was young and the moon was cold, so we both decided to take a stroll. Can you imagine the way I felt? I couldn't unfasten a safety belt, riding along in my calaboose, still trying to get her belt to loose. All the way home I held a grudge for the safety belt that wouldn't budge. Cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go.
Wow, that was a great tune, Dave.
Fabulous dance tune. Sadly, we lost Chuck Berry about a year ago, 90 years old, and just put out his last album before he passed away. Amazing. And what a long and illustrious career. Mm-hmm. So,
Now, you had the beauty of talking to him, which...
I did. I emceed a concert in Kitchener when I was doing my Kaleidoscope show. He was backed by Copper Penny, who knew all his songs inside out. It was an amazing show, and I got to sit and chat with him. He signed a lot of photos and things for me, but he wouldn't let me tape an interview with him. He wouldn't do that. But he was notorious for that. So anyway, I'm on CKCR, build it up to 4 hours, ask for some money, and was let go. So, so I built it from 1 hour up to 3 hours. And then the station became Chime FM, and I approached them and they hired me back. And at that time, I was getting into soul music. We're talking late 60s, I guess, around this time. And so I really was into Otis Redding, the Memphis scene. I was into James Brown. I just loved it all. I didn't really like the British invasion that much at that time because I kind of thought the Beatles were like a weak R&B copy band. I mean, why get Please Mr. Postman by the Beatles when you can get it by the Marvelettes, which I thought was so much better. Here's one of the soul records that blew me away, still does, Green Onions from 1962 by Booker T and the MGs.
I'm your host, Bren Masson. You're listening to Fresh Waves here on Whistle FM. Our guest today is Dave Booth. We'll be back with more of Dave's story and some great tunes. Stay tuned.
feel good. I knew that I would not. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love won't do you no harm. And I feel nice, that sugar and spice. I feel nice, that sugar and spice. So nice, so nice, I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love can't do me no harm. And I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice.